Hi friends, I'm Dr. Ganguly. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to reply to a question by a viewer, and this is how to avoid the 2114B denial or rejection of visa. And this denial is sometimes given for visas F1, J1 and B1, B2. Now, before I begin this video, I should point out that I'm not an immigration attorney, and whatever I'm saying is based on my personal experience, knowledge and research, and also things I know from my friends and people I know. So with that caveat, let us begin. Now, as many of you know, there are a whole category of non-immigrant visas which you can use to enter the US for different purposes. Now, some of these visas are well known, for example, the H1B and the L1, and these are essentially the dual intent visas. So when you come in these visas, there is the option that you stay in the US or you go back to your home country. Both of these options are possible for you. Now, there is a second category of non-immigrant visas where you are expected to go back to your home country, and these are the F1, J1 and B1, B2 visas. So these are the visas I'm going to talk about today. So essentially, what is 2114B? Essentially, it is a section of the INA, or the Immigration and Nationality Act. And this section tells the officer who is taking the interview for you to make sure that you are going to return to your home country. So essentially, the presumption which this officer has to make is that you are going to stay in US. And so it's up to you to make the case that you have sufficient strong ties to go back to your home country. So that's the keyword here, strong ties to your home country. So this is something which you need to demonstrate, and then once the visa officer is satisfied about your demonstration, he or she is going to grant you the visa. So let's look at what are the things you can do to demonstrate this kind of strong ties to your home country. So the first thing, of course, would be you have substantial amount of your family staying in your home country. You have a job in your home country. Maybe you own a business in your home country. Maybe you have a home. Maybe you have multiple properties. Maybe you have bank accounts, mutual funds, insurance policies, and so on. So essentially, you get the point about this thing. It's very qualitative decision. It's a subjective decision. So in this case, any one factor may not be enough. The officer is going to look at a multitude of these factors, and then he or she is going to determine whether you are a person with strong ties to your home country, whether you have sufficient incentive to visit your relative or friend in the US on a B1, B2, go to US to study on an F1, and then come back to your home country. So whatever your visa status, make sure that you have some reply to these questions about what are you going to do when you come back to your home country, especially when you're applying for the F1, J1 or B1, B2 visa. Now, the second aspect which they are going to see is that do you have a good financial situation, because this is important to make sure that when you come to US, as you know, cost of things in US is very high. Are you going to be able to manage your situation in the US? You should not be forced to work in some job, because remember, many of these visa categories do not allow you to do a job beside the one which you are supposed to do. So for example, in the F1 and J1 visa, you are supposed to work at the university or wherever you are deputed, and you're not supposed to have extra jobs and so on without permission. So they want to make sure that you exactly do whatever you are coming for. If you are coming for a postdoc under the J1 visa or for a PhD program, you just do these programs. If you are coming on the F1 visa, you spend your time studying, and maybe you are allowed to do a few things inside the university, but that's all. And in a B1, B2 visa, you are simply not allowed to work. So you are just supposed to visit your friends and family, to maybe go to Niagara Falls, see the Grand Canyon, see San Francisco Bridge and all that, and then go back to your home country. So that's the whole objective of the B1, B2 visa. Now, sometimes also the B1 visa is used for conferences. So in that case, you need to show that you are going to come to the conference, meet with your friends and colleagues, present your paper, maybe chair a session, maybe talk to various people, and then go back to your home country. This go back to your home country part is very important in all these visa cases. So now remember that the officer at the consulate has a very short amount of time for each person. maybe 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, something like that. So what happens is that they have to make this decision very quickly, and you have submitted some of the information when you filled up the application form for the visa. But beside this, make sure that on a sheet of paper you take this information written down so that you have it at your fingertips, and you may even take some proof for all these facts. The fact that you have family there, you have a job, you have a business, you have a property, you have bank accounts, and so on. Because the more of these things are there, the more likely that you are somebody with strong ties to your home country. Now, remember that there are two possible scenarios. Of course, you will get the visa. That's the best case scenario. And I would say that most people do get the visa because the officers are generally very good at spotting the genuine cases, and most cases are genuine. However, there are some cases where the people do not get the visa, and this could be because of various reasons. So let's look into that. Now, if you are denied a visa, this is not a permanent denial. You can always go back once again and reapply. And this time, of course, you need to make the case that you have strong ties. So maybe you didn't bring the documentation before, you didn't have answers to specific questions, and so on. And so that's why the denial was given. So you can improve that situation. Now, there are some situations where it may simply not be possible to get this visa, and this may be because your professional situation currently, your financial situation, your personal situation is such that you simply cannot prove that you have strong ties to your home country. So for example, if you are a single person and all your relatives are in the US, maybe very few relatives are there back in your home country, maybe you are somebody who does not own a house, who is staying in a rented apartment, who is staying in a hostel, in the dorm, and so on. Maybe you do not have a lot of financial assets. Maybe you just have a bank account and that's just a checking or saving account. So in those cases, the officer may actually determine that your ties to your home country are very weak, and if you get the chance to come to the US, you may not come back. So in that case, he or she may not give you the visa. Now, in that case, what you can do is you can spend a few years improving your situation in all these metrics and then apply once again for the visa. So maybe you get a job, you get a business, maybe you buy a home, maybe you have got married or something, your situation has changed, and now it's likely that you're going to stay in your home country, and then they may give you the visa. And this has happened in the case of many people. Now, the second possibility is especially there if you are a student or a postdoc or a visitor to a conference, is if you are not getting the B1 visa repeatedly or even once, you are jaded about it, because do remember that you do have to pay a substantial amount of money for the visa fee, and if you do not get the visa, then there's a substantial financial loss to you. So what I have seen some people do is that they apply for other countries. For example, you can get the Schengen visa, which is valid to a large number of countries in the European Union, and essentially you can go to Europe for various conferences, or you can go to Japan for conferences, and so on. So if you are going for conferences, the substitute of the B1 would be any of the visitor visas to these countries where you can go. If you are a person seeking tourism under the B2 visa, you can go to some of those countries also. Now, of course, there's a problem for people who are visiting relatives in the US, because there's no substitute for that. So unfortunately, those cases, you simply have to miss out on the function which is going on. Now, for the F1 case, the possibility again is European Union, Australia, Canada, Japan, all these countries, because if you're not able to get the F1 visa to come to the US, you can target all the remaining countries in the world where you can study. And also in the case of J1 visa, if you're not able to do the postdoc based on the J1 visa, you can try Europe, you can try Korea, you can try Japan, China, Australia, and various countries around the world. So that was my take on the 214B denial, and I hope some of the facts I gave you today will help you prepare for the interview, and it will also help you prepare with your current financial situation and make a determination of whether you are planning to go to US for a conference or for higher studies or for postdoc, or you would like to go to some other part of the world, maybe the European Union, maybe Paris, maybe visit Berlin, maybe Prague, and all these places. So I'll end this video now, and I will see you in a video sometime soon. See you then.